Hello, Fellowship of Christian Illusionist friends. Here's another session in marketing, or at least you might call it Duane's thoughts about marketing. In our first session, I dealt with the critical marketing truth that in the long run, nothing is superior to a show that gets repeat and referral business. We have to have a show. This is the bottom line when it comes to marketing. We have to have a show that people will want to see more than once, a show that they're going to recommend and bring friends to or tell their friends to attend. So marketing begins with ensuring that we have a good show. We've already talked about that. The second critical marketing concept is that we must invest first and most in that which multiplies. And you say, well, what multiplies? Well, people can multiply. One person can bring another person, and those persons can bring more persons, and so on. And what this means on the practical level is we must build relationships. We talked about that in the second lesson. Today we have a third lesson, and it's not another critical marketing concept. Instead, it's further emphasis of the first two. And I know, because I think I've been in the same place where many of you are, that you're probably anxious for me to get to what you think's the real stuff. You know, Duane, tell us how our website should be designed. Tell us what we can do to build mailing lists. Tell us if we should have some sort of a newsletter. Tell us what our publicity should look like. Give us step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and we just do this, this, and this, and all of a sudden we start booking more shows or selling more tickets. You know, I understand that we very much are anxious and excited for that kind of thing. And hopefully I can provide some of that in future lessons. But in my opinion, none of that matters. And in the long run, all of that is just spinning your wheels if we do not have a good grasp, a good understanding of what I've talked about so far. There has to be this basic mindset relating to people and the power of multiplication. This is something that needs to guide all of our thinking when it comes to booking shows and selling shows. So I'm going to give you 4 examples. And as I said in my last lesson, I'm going to try to be more brief. But there's so much to say in all of this. So anyway, here I go. Lesson number 1, Billy Graham's choir. I know that Billy Graham is no longer on the scene, and the younger generation may not be as aware of his tremendous worldwide ministry as those in my generation are. But he did something amazing in a time when churches were smaller, in a time when a lot of people were struggling just to get a couple hundred people to a program in a church. He was filling stadiums. They would have a local baseball stadium. He would have a crusade to fill it up. It was phenomenal. And the fact that he was filling stadiums actually helped gain attention and perpetuate his ministry. Well, what was he doing? What was one of his secrets? And I want to quickly explain, I believe God's hand was on him. I'm not just trying to discount what God does. But I think we all know it's sort of like preaching. To God be the glory, and God is the one who gives the real power in preaching, and yet we're supposed to prepare, and if we don't prepare, our communication can suffer. There are practical things we do. Well, I believe in the Billy Graham crusade, there was an immensely practical thing they did, and they may not have even understood that it was marketing. They may just truly have thought, let's have a 1,000-voice choir. Maybe in time they realized what was going on, but I'm not sure they did this to get a crowd, but it doesn't matter because it got a crowd. Here's the point. They would say, okay, we're having this crusade. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have this magnificent choir? Let's get all the Christians in this area, the churchgoers we can, and bring them in, and let's try to have a 1,000-voice choir sing a song every night as part of our crusade. Well, what does that do? It guarantees a base attendance of 1,000 people. Right? But beyond that, because, the husband's going to sing, okay, but the wife's going to be there. She's going to bring the kids. Or maybe grandpa and grandma are going to come because, our daughter is singing in the choir. Or relatives. And I think as a general rule of thumb, for every one person singing in the choir, there were probably at least 5 other people likely to attend because that one person was in the choir. I would guess it averaged out to that. And of course, in their church, they find, oh, we got 3 people going from our church to sing in the choir. Well, let's go see how they do. And so all of a sudden, this 1,000 guaranteed base attendance is a guaranteed base attendance of 5,000, or counting the person in the choir, 6,000. And they've not done any marketing in the sense of normal, put an ad in the newspaper and the kind of things they did in those days. They've already got this massive base of attendance just because they've got this big choir. Well, I think you can understand the implications of that, so I'll move to the second example. And this one is one that I'm personally aware of. I'm going to be careful how I talk about it, and as I get into it, I think you'll understand why. But I know of a community that has a town of less than 50,000 people. A woman there has a dance studio. Every year, they do this massive recital where all of her dance students put on shows. They have to put on 3 shows, not one. One night, a matinee, another night, because they do it in a high school auditorium that only seats 600 people. They charge $20 per ticket, and they don't allow any kind of discounts. Everybody pays the $20. So quickly do the math. 600 times 3 is 1,800. 1,800 times 20 is $36,000 this woman grosses for 3 days. The auditorium costs her $500 a night. So her profit is over $34,000 because she does no advertising and she doesn't pay anyone in the show because the kids are doing the recital. And you go, well, wait a minute. How does she fill it up 600 people 3 times? She has 350 dance students. Do the math. All right? 350, now we're going to make a generalization. I know people come from broken homes and such. But we're going to say as a generalization, 350 kids have 2 parents each. Now you've got a base crowd of 700 coming to watch those 350. General rule, they've got grandparents on both sides. So that's 350 times 4. Grandparents here, that's 1,200. So now you've got 1,200 plus 700. You've got 2,100 people, more than capacity already. And you're not talking about other relatives. Sure, not all the parents and grandparents can come, but there are siblings, there's aunts and uncles, there's friends and neighbors, and there's people like Mary and I who drove several hours, paid $20 each because one of the young ladies in the dance recital is like a daughter to us. So it was very, very easy. I mean, when you start running those numbers, basically she has a guaranteed crowd of over several thousand without doing a single bit of advertising because she has 350 kids on stage and they have parents and grandparents and friends and neighbors and relatives who all want to see what they do. I mean, for that woman, it's a cash cow, $34,000 profit in 3 days just by sending the kids out there and letting them dance. All right, third example. And you've probably thought about this one before, but circuses. Why do circuses give away free tickets or have these programs where civic organizations purchase tickets and give them away for free or very, very low cost for children? And if they don't give them away free, they've got these massive discounts for the children. Why? Well, I think we know that. Because if lots and lots of kids come, somebody's got to bring them. Somebody's got to chaperone them. Who cares if they're letting the kids in free if the adults that come with them buy tickets and concessions and souvenirs? That's where they really make their money. So the kids bring the adults. And the last example I'll give you relates to me. One of the last illusion shows I did, and this was just a couple months ago, it was for a fundraiser for a preschool in Nebraska. And once we had the contract all signed and everything set, the person in charge says, Duane, we're considering, we'd like to have the preschool kids come up in front and do a little concert before your show. My first thought was, oh no, I'm supposed to be an illusion show. I'm going to be all set up. I got my props ready. Now all these little kids are going to be on stage. This is disaster. But then I thought again, wait a minute. If all those little kids are getting up there to sing, their parents are going to be there to hear them sing. Their grandparents are probably going to be there to hear them sing. Their friends, their neighbors, their sisters, their brothers, their relatives are going to be there to hear them sing. So if the kids get up and sing, it's going to pretty much guarantee we have a good attendance for this show, even though it's in a small town in Nebraska. So it then falls upon me to say, prepare for it, Duane. Figure out how to do this so it doesn't mess up your setup. But you need those kids there. That's a great idea. Now, the organizer didn't think of it in terms of marketing, but believe me, on her part, it was a great way to get a good attendance, and that's exactly what happened. We had a good attendance. So what is my point with these? It's a review of the first few lessons, and it's that bottom line concept: people bring people. We must think this way. As a person who does shows, whether you're selling tickets or you're in ministry, you must understand you're in the people business. That's what we are as performers, entertainers, whatever you want to call yourself. I mean, we're in ministry, but there's different ways that looks as far as the ways we do it. But because people bring people, one of the smartest things we'll ever do is to learn to involve people in our business. Interesting story. Most of you know, or at least some of you know, Marvin Roy, the Mr. Electric, the great magician of the past, was my personal mentor. And Marvin was reviewing a video of one of my shows. And at that show, I had this huge box, and I magically made 4 kids disappear. They were teenagers. 4 teenagers disappear. The box was usually designed to produce a pony. I put them in there instead. Marvin didn't like the trick. He says, Duane, I don't understand why you did that in the show. He said, I just don't get it. He said, I didn't like it. Now, the trick worked. He just didn't think, that it was that strong in terms of the flow of the show. And I said, well, Marvin, we had this little contest to see who would sell the most tickets to the show, and the reward was the top 4 ticket sellers would get to magically appear in the show. And as soon as I said that, and Marvin was so expressive, he goes, he says, course, you're selling tickets, good thinking. And all of a sudden, he was very excited and very impressed because he understood, well, if those 4 kids are going to magically appear on the show, not only do they sell tickets to win that opportunity, but the other thing they did is now all the kids that know them, all the people that know them are going to come to the show. And if they hadn't bought tickets, they're going to buy tickets that night because they want to see so-and-so magically appear on the stage. So what does this come down to? It's the idea that marketing is not just about getting booked, and it's not just about selling a ticket. It's about understanding human connections. So if you're selling tickets, it is super smart to make your tickets extremely affordable for children. Don't be silly about trying to have a high kids price, thinking that's going to help you make more money, because kids bring grown-ups. And the grown-ups are the ones that typically have the money, buy the magic sets, buy the concessions, and so on. If you're doing ministry programs, don't push that upward cheer team that wants to do their thing before your show starts. Don't say, no, they can't be on the stage. Don't push them off. Don't say, nope, nobody can do anything before. And as much as awards can be frustrating because it takes them so long sometimes to hand them out, we have to readjust our thinking, yeah, but because somebody's getting a award, other people are likely there to see them get the award. And so this is one of the things that's bringing people to the program. Because that cheer team is up there and doing their little thing, they got moms and dads, brothers and sisters, people flooding the audience to watch what they do. The truth is, more people might be there to watch what those kids do and see them get their awards than they're there to see you. But once they see you, hopefully they like what they see, and your word of mouth and your repeat marketing begins. So understand that this relationships and this interaction with people truly is important. If you're trying to get more people to book you, then think about putting more in your advertising that shows how much fun people have at your show. Show a kid laughing. Show an adult in an audience participation trick. Of course, make sure that you've got permission and stuff to do that. But the whole idea is that what we are really pitching to those who are considering booking us is how much fun people will have and what people will experience. And as we can get more and more people involved with what we do, more and more people get involved in what we do. And that's not double talk. What I'm saying is people bring people. This is a lot to think about, and yet it's one simple concept. But I think in terms of your specific situation, it's something to ponder. So this is as far as I'm going to go with it. And I promise next lesson, I'll try to give you some of that more detailed stuff, detailed concepts. You can maybe focus a little bit more on the how-tos of marketing. But as far as I'm concerned, this mindset, the importance of people, the importance of relationship, and finding ways to let people be a part of your show. Let them do something before the show begins or somehow relating to it. That really is a critical factor in building a crowd. All right, that's all I'm going to say about this for now. Thanks for paying attention.